Hello and welcome back to
Oh,
and
and
one
one
more
more
thing
thing
before
before
you
you
die.
die. Yeah.
We are your hosts. I'm Joanna,
And I'm Mark.
and today we have chosen to talk about Terrifier, the first movie. We're aware that it's technically not the first one in the series. That would be Hallows' Eve. It comes before Terrifier, but we're not going to review this with a Hallows' Eve background. So, Terrifier came out in 2016, and it's directed by, I'm going to butcher this name, Damien Leone. I think that's how you say
Mm,
it. And before we get into it, I'd like to know what you rate this movie.
Probably a 10 out of 10 out of just personal, out of just like sheer entertainment value. And like if you're into this type of stuff, it's
Uh-huh.
definitely a 10 out of 10. Although there's not like really a plot. Nobody's there for the plot. Everyone's there to
Right.
just people get killed, to be honest.
So you would rate this higher than Ginger Snaps.
I feel like they're different types of movies. Like they both, I mean, this one doesn't even really have a theme.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I would watch this or recommend this movie over, excuse that honking, uh, rate this movie over Ginger Snaps just because I love this sort of like type of movies or love
Interesting.
these sort of type of movies.
Interesting. I personally love Ginger Snaps and I would recommend it over this movie because this
All
movie
right,
is
got a
just
little conflict here.
this movie is so goofy and we'll get into it, but that's also what makes it such a loved movie. It's so silly. A lot of plot holes, a lot of what's going on.
Yeah, do you just want
But
to jump into it?
yeah, let's do it.
All right.
So we are introduced to Tara and Dawn, who are just like good friends, and they just left a Halloween party. They are both in costumes. I remember Tara is in like a skeleton costume, and then Dawn is a scarecrow. I,
I didn't even like know what Dawn was. I couldn't figure it out. It just seemed like she was wearing lingerie.
I
So,
think I'm pretty
I
sure
mean, that counts as
it's
a Halloween costume nowadays.
yeah,
So,
true.
whatever.
And so they are like kind of walking back to their car, but they go into a pizza parlor. Which can I just talk about how do I put this in a nice way? How stereotypical that whole like the owner, his employee, and just like the pizza place was. I thought it was so goofy.
Wait, what do you mean by stereotypical?
I mean, like the owner was American Italian. Like he
Okay.
had to be, and he just had like he was like if you think of a stereotypical American Italian man, there that's him.
The Macho Man, yeah.
So they're in this pizza parlor, and in walks Art, which is our main character, I would say.
Does
Um,
he walk in there though, or does he just appear out of thin air? Because it seems like he just appears wherever he wants at any time.
Yeah, he's definitely like at the door,
Yeah.
being weird with his trash bag, which I can't even start to get into that. I think it's so funny that he has a trash bag. So at first, Tara's like super terrified by him. She doesn't like this weird looking clown, but it is Halloween. So her friend Dawn is just like, he's just a dude in a costume. He's not gonna harm anyone. And she ends up taking a selfie with him, which is such
Yeah,
a funny part.
she's super blind. Like
Yeah,
I'm so scared of people. Like even in Halloween costumes, if I knew it was
right.
Halloween, I still wouldn't go up to him just because he looks like so creepy.
Yeah, his makeup is like very well done. It's
They did a really
just
good job, yeah.
it is someone I would definitely think twice about talking with. But she sits on his lap, like no big deal, and takes a selfie with him. And they're eating, and then he kind of offers Tara a ring, which
Yeah.
was very
Like
creepy.
it was really weird because he was just checking out Tara the whole time, but Don was the one who was more interested in him because Tara could kind of sense something off about him, obviously. And then when she gives him the ring, she's kind of like, thank you,
Yeah.
I guess.
She
Like
doesn't
the
know how to
ring is
react
like a
to it.
super nice ring. You wouldn't just expect a random dude to just be giving out rings like that.
Yeah.
So there's like a foreshadowing of him being a murderer, but they're like, don't haven't picked up on that yet.
Right. So then he goes to the bathroom and a couple minutes pass and the like restaurant owner is kicking him out, yelling at him and saying he's like disgusting. And I don't know if you remember that visual that they give you of like the bathroom.
Yeah, I don't want
It
to think
is
about that. That made me
so
gag.
gross.
That made me
Same.
gag.
When I saw that, I was like, wow, that's okay. It's just like for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, it's just things are smeared all over the walls.
He
It's not,
explodes in the
yeah,
bathroom. Yeah.
yeah. It's not cute. It's
It
not
might not
fun.
even be his, to be honest. Like, might be someone else's.
I think like my theory is that he had everything in his bag ready to just
Yeah.
like start messing around. So then the girls end up leaving the pizza place and they go back to their car
Wait,
and
but before that, after the owner discovers all the shit in the bathroom,
mhm,
tosses Ant outside the restaurant, telling him, "Don't come back here. Like,
right.
what the hell are you doing? Like, you're such an idiot." And then Art, he like threatens him, but just like decides to leave.
Hmm.
And then the girls like leave and go to the car.
Right. So then he comes back
Yeah.
because he didn't like that he kicks him out. And he ends up brutally murdering both him and the employee.
I like the little jack-o'-lantern that he made out of the employee's head. That was
Oh my
pretty.
God.
That was really
And they
cute.
just like zoom into that for
Yeah.
so long. It's so funny. The girls are unaware of what's going on. They're just sitting in their car, which is like so close to the pizza place, but they like
Yeah.
they
And
don't
they noticed
notice
that
that.
their tires were also slashed.
Hmm.
So they had to that kind of raised Tara's suspicions a little bit, but Dawn just keeps playing dumb and coy. She's like,
Right.
"No, it's not a big deal, we'll find a ride, I'll be okay."
Right. That's I put a note there where I was like, Tara definitely believes that Art did it. She starts saying that he did see them buy that car. So it could possibly have been him that slashed their tires, but Dawn completely dismisses it. Tara decides to call her sister, Victoria, to ask if she can pick them up because there is no way for them to. I mean, this is 2013. Pretty sure Uber was a thing, was it not?
Definitely. I
Yeah,
think
but
it
they
was
just
over in It was like 2014 or something like that.
right, but they just want their sister to, I mean, Tara's sister to pick them up. So she asks, her sister says, sure, fine. And so while waiting in the car, Tara is super impatient because she really needs to use the restroom. And I put a very interesting comment in this part because instead of going back to the restaurant they were in, she decides to take like a whole different route. And I thought that was really interesting because personally, if I had just eaten in a place that I know they have a bathroom in, I would go back to that place if I needed to use the bathroom. But instead, there's a building right in front of them, and she decides, yeah, let me go into this creepy building to use the restroom.
Yeah. And I mean, the only real reason she goes into the building is because she sees the janitor walking
Right,
out smoking a cigarette. Otherwise, she said, like, nah, screw that. But she sees him, she's like, feels a little bit safer or like at least a little bit more like protected going in there.
right. So then she asks him, and he says that he is currently exterminating like the rats in the building because there's a rat problem apparently. And I love this part of the movie because it's such a big plot hole. Not once does this man actually exterminate anything. He is seen throughout the movie doing everything but exterminating. He cleans, he's seen listening to music, just going around the building, but not once does he bring out the gas that he has told Tara that he's going to exterminate the rats with. That never happens. We do see rats throughout the movie on the floor. It's just never brought up again.
The dude's just bad at his job, I guess.
I guess so. He had to clean the whole building before exterminating the rats. I don't know. So she proceeds to use the restroom.
And then
And
afterwards,
then,
she like after she uses the bathroom, she goes down and I have no idea why. Like she was already creeped out in the beginning,
mhm,
but then she hears a noise and was like, and then completely changes her mind. Like if I was already freaked out and I heard a noise, I would be running out of there.
right.
But she was, I don't know, maybe I'll find something cool here. Like what? And she just goes and like finds this room with a bunch of tires. So I'm assuming it's some sort of warehouse of some kind.
Mhm.
At which point she meets some sort of crazy lady who's carrying a baby doll with her. No idea what she's doing there. It's just some like crazy homeless lady, I guess, who lives there. It doesn't really do anything to her, just freaks her out for the most part.
Which I noted that the tires at the time, I really thought they were some sort of meaning because they had their tires slashed. So I was like, oh, this is a point where, she could grab one of them maybe to replace the other tire. No, that's not a thing. The exterminator also has no idea about this creepy lady in the building. He's going to fumigate the whole building and has no idea that this other human is walking around. And also about the lady, I think it's really interesting that the reason why we know she's crazy is because she's talking to this baby doll as if it's her own baby. And she also talks about the place being like an apartment complex.
Mm-hmm.
Random. We never really find out why she lives there, who she
Yeah,
is.
she's just a crazy lady who
Right.
just Has some, I don't know, on drugs or something like that.
I don't know either. Meanwhile, outside, Dawn is in the car waiting for Tara to come back. She's listening to the radio and she's listening to like a local station, and it starts saying that there have been 2 murders in the area, which is referring to the restaurant murders. And it's advising people to leave the area, but she can't. And then Art shows up and he basically takes Dawn. So then Tara is still exploring the building. God
Mhm.
knows why she still hasn't, even after this lady has talked to her and she's clearly out of her mind. Tara
Yeah.
thinks it's still a good idea to explore. I don't know. And she is met with Art. Art finds her and he starts
Yeah.
chasing her, slashing her with a scalpel, and she's not able to escape. And she basically gets stabbed with a syringe, which knocks her unconscious.
The whole time she's like screaming for help for the janitor dude, but
Yeah.
he's too busy listening to his music, smoking a cigarette, and he like turns his head like on the very last second as like she leaves the frame.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what an idiot.
Yeah, that part was very cool though. I'll agree with that. And then Tara wakes up bound to a wooden chair, which comes in play after into a part that I think is very silly. And she looks over to see her friend Dawn hanging upside down naked.
Naked, yeah.
And
Now this part was crazy. This part was crazy.
I put a comment. I don't know if you saw it. It says, "Of course, it wouldn't be a horror movie without a blonde naked girl." And I said it's getting very old. I'm so tired of that trope because obviously they made Dawn to be this like blonde, dumb friend, and then of course she had to be naked in a couple scenes. So we note that Art clearly finds Tara's fear amusing, and so he likes the fact that he has this power over her. And he begins to laugh and grabs a literal hacksaw and cuts her friend in half in front of her.
And they show it for like they
Too
could have
long.
just done it like a quick. It was like a super long time.
You see all of it.
Yeah, every little part doesn't even like make sense. Like
Yeah,
the way he cut her.
right. That's why I don't know the logistics of somebody cutting someone in half. I don't know that. But it's not like a chainsaw, it's a hacksaw. And if you've ever seen a hacksaw, like I imagine you have to be the strongest human ever to cut somebody in half
Even if
with a
you are the
hacksaw.
strongest person, it doesn't matter because the saw itself will probably not like go through.
Right.
It'll just break or
Like
something.
bones. Like I was watching this movie. I actually watched this movie with my boyfriend who's like a biology major, and he goes, "No spine?" Okay. She had no spine.
Yeah.
It was just jelly. Like she was literally made out of jelly.
Yeah.
And I love that. So he's also supposed to be supernatural. And we don't know that at this part. So him being able to fully saw through her without like stopping, he didn't even like take a breather. He just went for it and it worked.
Yeah.
Seemed really goofy, but now knowing that he's supernatural, I guess I can let that slip by. I
Yeah,
don't
he's
know.
like a demon.
Right. So
Demon friends.
sure, I guess he could hacksaw somebody in half. And then the part after that is basically Tara trying to get herself out of the chair again. So after the millionth time of trying to escape, her chair breaks.
Magically.
Like, yeah, I don't like what a moment. I thought it was
Like just
funny.
shaking metal loosens it up. Yeah, right.
Right, right. Her wooden chair just breaks. So she's able to like get out and she hits Art with a wooden piece of the chair and it stuns him. She keeps hitting him. And for a second, like she kind of has power over Art. So we're thinking this is it. But then he pulls out a gun. He
Which
pulls
was like
out a gun.
hilarious because it was like out of nowhere. Like this dude, this whole time has been using nothing but knives and hatchets
Right.
and cleavers and chains, and all of a sudden you just see him turn around like a cartoon. Like I almost expected like a those like flags that pop out of the gun, like the bang.
Yeah,
Like that's what I
literally.
expected. Yeah, he just shoots her right in the face.
I laughed so hard during that moment. I was in tears almost. Like I don't know where he pulled the gun out of.
His ass,
He doesn't
probably.
have pockets. It's not like he
He's
was
literally a
carrying.
GTA character. He's got like an
It was
image.
so funny. And then he just shoots her.
Yep.
So she dies. And then Art takes Dawn's phone and sees a text from Tara's sister, sorry. And she's asking where Tara is. So he says, like he answers and tells her basically like I'm at the building.
Yeah, like to come meet her or him at the back of the building. They can to see how it goes and help each other out.
Right. And so then Art, this is your comment. I love this. Then Art unloads a whole clip into her face, literally. And the crazy lady essentially sees him shooting Tara. So she runs to go ask the janitor for help. She's like, please call the police. There's a crazy man out there. And since she's not the most trustworthy, sensible person, like she already has this baby doll that she's carrying. She doesn't look like she's a sane person, to be very honest. He kind of ignores her, and he's almost more scared of her than anything else.
Yeah.
And then Art catches up and takes the janitor out, essentially with a hammer. And he, out of frame, steals the doll. We don't know how, why. And he's seen like petting the doll, and the crazy lady is like not loving this. That's her baby. So she begs him to return it, and she kind of has a moment with him. It's a very weird moment.
Yeah,
And
she like starts coddling with him, and like he goes into it. He starts sucking on his thumb like a little baby.
Yeah, very weird mother
He's like
figure
playing.
moment.
He's like playing into her desires, I guess.
Yeah, and so her sister enters the building, and she sees Dawn cut in half. Her sister is not near Dawn anymore, but then she hears what she thinks is like screaming coming from like this downstairs basement looking thing. And she hopes it's her sister that's screaming for her help and that she's still alive somewhere. So she walks down the stairs, and she sees the crazy lady mutilated, and then some like human form is laying down, and she thinks it's her sister because she's not only brunette, but you know, it fits her sister's description.
I'm pretty sure he scalped her.
Yeah,
because he had like the full set of hair and everything.
He scalps her and takes her breasts, to say the least. And he's basically dressed as a woman. So he mutilated the hell out of the crazy lady. Later in the beginning, I didn't really understand this part fully, to be very honest with you. But we know that later some pest control guy shows up, and he is co-worker with the main pest control guy.
Yeah, this was kind of like weird. Like it wasn't really needed. Like he just kind of came, and then like within a minute and like 2 minutes, he just got murked. Like
right.
a knife to the back of the head, and then gets his head cut off, and we'll never see him, and he's never mentioned or anything like that again. So I guess they had some money left in the budget, so they're like, we might as well
bring in some other guy.
Kill out of it. Yeah.
Right. So he's like, from what I understood, the plot goes, he came to help his friend to exterminate, and then he gets killed. So then Art tries to kill Tara's sister. He pretty much runs after her for a very long time, and then places a bag over her head, but she escapes. I thought this part was so funny. He puts a bag over her head, and it's like plastic, so she just breaks a hole.
Yeah.
And like is able to breathe again. And he gets so mad at this. And then she plunges a rusty stake into his foot.
Yeah, she's able to get away for a little bit after she does that. And it's weird. Like, I don't understand, because they're like, okay, maybe I do have to lower my rating a little bit. But yeah, this dude's pretty much like a god. He can like appear anywhere, do anything. But like if somebody stabs him or somebody does something, he like gets hurt by it. Like it doesn't really make sense. Like if he's already a demon, he shouldn't be able to get hurt by anything. Maybe he's just like pretending because he wants to like have a chase.
Right.
Or maybe it's just for dramatic purposes. Who knows?
Well, I think in the same sense, you can apply this to every other supernatural slasher. They do get stunned, all of them. But I just think with Art, it's a little goofier. It's a little more like he pretends he's going to die, but then he's up again. You know, it's not like, I don't know, I feel like it's done a little more silly, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's so like every time he does, quote unquote, die,
right,
like everybody already knows that he's not actually dead.
Right, we know he's coming back up, like whatever. So then Vicky finds her sister dead. And then she proceeds to get mauled by Art's chain. He has this chain with like knives and nails coming out of it. It's like a, I don't know. It's such a weird weapon to.
I'm sure he has his own like custom tool bench where he makes all of these like.
Right. Or he just comes with it because he's the demon, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. He just wishes it and it comes alive.
Right. And then the janitor is still alive, so he gets hit by the hammer, but he's still somehow alive, and he helps her out by like hitting like Art in the head with a metal canister, which is so funny because then he's like disabled for a good amount of time. Like it's just so goofy.
Not long enough to escape though.
Right. So then he decides to pick up Vicky and tries to get her to a safe place, and he calls the police. The police isn't very helpful, as in most cases with horror movies. And he like decides that he really needs to take Victoria to a hospital. Like there's no way that she can stay much longer because she's bleeding and she's clearly like super shocked. So clearly not long after, Art wakes up and he hits the janitor with the same canister that he was hit with, and then proceeds to stomp his head until it explodes, because what were we expecting? And then he chases Victoria to a door which she can't get through.
Well, yeah, she can get through it because she's skinny,
Right.
but he can't because it's just like a tiny little slit.
Right. But then it doesn't matter because he gets into a truck and smashes the door. Yeah, there's like a truck in here too, which nobody ever really thinks about getting into it. I don't know how he got the keys.
He like, I don't know. He wished it and it came.
Right. It came true. So then he hits Vicky with the truck and she's unconscious. And then he starts just cannibalizing, eating her.
Yeah, yeah. He's like delicious.
Yeah, delectable. Her face, basically. And then the police arrive and they see him eating her face, and they're like, "We got you."
Yeah, they tell him
Which,
to drop
yeah.
it, get on the ground.
Right. And then he still has his gun somehow, and he shoots himself in the head. So yeah, I don't know. Vicky's still alive. She has her face eaten, but she's still breathing. But the police decide to take Art to the morgue. They want a doctor to, I guess,
Yeah, just a coroner. They gotta
Right.
inspect the body and stuff like that.
right, to see like, to have like a police
Report, yeah.
report. Exactly. Thank you. So the coroner is like super chill about it. He's like, okay, whatever. He even asks one of his interns to go get him coffee or something because he's like, for sure this guy's dead. But then the lights start flickering and Art is not dead. Clearly. So he kills the coroner, and then the second movie actually starts off with the coroner being killed by Art, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But this movie ends with Vicky basically being on TV, and she's talking about how she's the sole survivor of this huge massacre, and she is not in her right state of mind anymore because of everything that happened, because of everything that she witnessed. So she does end up killing the reporter who is interviewing her because she just has all this trauma from the massacre, and that is what she's left with.
Yeah, it's like she was left with some sort of like demonic spirit to like go kill people. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like if you survive Art's attack, you become sort of like him, I guess.
Right. Not in the second movie though.
Yeah, not in the second movie.
Yeah, so like that plot is completely undone in the second movie. And I don't know if you knew, but the second movie is actually by the same exact director.
Yeah. I just watched that one recently too. So
they're very different movies. So
I like the second one a little bit better, but for a different reason. But we'll get to that at a later episode.
Right, that will be our next episode. We'll talk about Terrifier 2. I have a lot of things I want to say about that movie because I actually like this one better. So my rating for Terrifier 1 would be 6 out of 10. I think it's a very fun movie. It's very funny. It's very goofy. I don't think you can take this movie seriously. If you do, then you're not going to like it. But I would recommend it. It was a funny time. Although the second movie I was so angry watching it. But that is just me.
I think over the period of this podcast, I know I said 10 out of 10 in the beginning, but I think I'm probably going to go down to more of like a 7 or an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I would give it like an 8 just because if you're kind of into this body horror movie, where you like just, if you're a freak like me and you like to watch people get killed for no apparent reason by some crazy serial murder, maybe you'll be into that. But if you're looking for more of a story and more of like a connection, like emotion, you definitely won't find that here.
Right. I think people who love slashers, this is a completely different slasher. Yeah. Like it is not like the other ones where they have a plot, they have a reason why. Yeah, I think it's a different type of slasher.
Yeah, just different for sure.
Okay. So that's it for this review. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
And one more thing before you die.